wow. Like, just wow. Like, I didn't think he would do it. And and as if you saw my video, which was like 2 weeks ago now, I said when I said like about talking about Vincent Kenny McMahon when talking about him and his recent allegations, I said to him, with all even in spite of that, there's no way in hell, like there's no chance in hell he will step aside completely and be like be done with it. Like even everyone thought, even Vince has said a few times this year, like he ain't going away anytime soon. Like under no circumstance he will step away. It it seemed like it was the case. Even for a long time, it seemed to be the case that Vince will only walk away if he was really on. The only way that Vince will ever went away, pretty much step aside, is that if he would just die in a gorilla position, as Sean Mosley would say, that he would die in a signature in gorilla while writing and then tearing out scripts of Raw and stuff. I didn't think he would ever done it. But lo and behold, on Friday afternoon, I log into wrestling sites on that day. I heard Triple H is back in his talent, executive vice president of talent relations role. And lo and behold, I came out and saw on that Saturday on Friday, on the afternoon, that Vince McMahon, on Twitter nonetheless, announces it's time to retire. Which I'll say it here from Twitter. At 77, it's time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever together. Hashtag WWE. Hashtag thankful. And it's like, for a second, I thought Vince's account was hacked. Because, like, even just reading it and him saying it, it's like, because first of all, I seriously doubt he really tweets stuff on Twitter at all. Like, I firmly believe somebody else is tweeting it on behalf of him. And like you can see how I'm really at a loss for words about this whole thing with seeing Twitter, like seeing this news like this, and then and for a thought and like I thought it was hacked because I didn't think he would announce something like this on like Twitter. And then I saw the other news that Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan are the co-CEOs of WWE. And Stephanie is like the new permanent chairwoman of the company. And I think that is when I was like, holy fuck. It really happened. Like, I never thought this day would come. And sometimes, when we hear something in life in general, when you hear something that is big and notable, it's sometimes important to avoid these traps of like hyperbole in words of like, this is the biggest thing or this is the most massive thing of all time. For this instance, you can't avoid it. Like, for all my lifetime, I've been around as a wrestling fan. There and seeing all wrestling news. There isn't before or after this, unless, and here's something out, unless if it investigation of his allegation are like kind of winding down, and he weasel his way, which can happen because like you never know with Vince sometimes, unless that's there isn't before and after this. There's before or after this that is bigger in terms of like wrestling news stuff. Like this is it. Like this will easily this is easily going to be the biggest wrestling news of all time. Like I said, there isn't before or after wrestling news that would be much bigger than this. Because like when WCW closed in 01, it was kind of surreal, but then again, you can kind of see all the writing on the wall with WCW, and how much they have declined by the time 01 started. And the Montreal Screwjob, as real as that was, you can kind of always see it as like, if you think about it, Brett was on his way out. Shawn Michaels didn't want to put over, and hence Brett didn't want to put Shawn over, and that created a whole man, and that pretty much what created the Montreal Screwjob as we all know it. So you can kind of see those instances as like it's kind of surreal, but you can clearly see some instances in the events before that this was kind of going to happen, but this is like, this was unbelievable. Like, who would ever thought of this? And like I said in my old video, in my other video about him 2 weeks ago, where I said it's like, out of all the things that could have kept Vince down, that 28 years, like 28, 30 years ago, he could have gone to prison. There was some news about that. After all this, his previous scandals, the one thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Vince was basically he had no pants in hell. Like, for years it was misinterpreted or he had no chance in hell. In this case, he had no pants in hell. Like, whoever could say of that? Like, and like to, and I'm gonna say like, I kind of knew someday it had to happen. Like, someday it had to happen. Either he was going to get sick, or like I said, die on his signature in the gorilla position, or when he was say enough's enough. I can kinda knew one day he was going to have to go away. But this doesn't make this by any means less shocking than it is. And to like all the wrestling fans who have pissed and have been screaming for years for Vince to walk away for all his duties, for all the business aspect, for all the creative and stuff. You can, through all those wrestling fans that have been doing that for years, and I do not blame you because I was one of them for years. To all those wrestling fans, you can brush it off the side now. Because in this instance, you kind of have to give thanks to the Wall Street Journal for this. In some way. Because if it weren't for them making all these pieces and articles about the allegations about Vince McMahon, sorry. If it weren't for that, this would never have happened. As crazy as it sounds, that is the reality. And from the looks of it, this whole scandal, allegation, it's about to get worse. There's something that's coming up in the pipeline that's much deeper than that. And I bet Vince knows it. And either he was pressured for him to do this, or the hope, and I would like to think, he probably realized going in and probably think to himself like, this probably ain't going to end well. By sticking around, I'm embarrassing the company that I took it from my father and made it what it is today. And I'm embarrassing for it. So because if he really cared about that company, and obviously he clearly cares about it, but if he really truly care about it, then he will step away, right? That he will step away now to like avoid any more embarrassment by him sticking around with all these allegations coming up. And yeah, like it's, and this is like so complex to say, because in some way, shape, or form, this is going to end up being a new day for WWE, as we all know it. For like, you can acknowledge Vince's contributions to the wrestling business. Like I said before, he is pretty much the greatest promoter of all time in wrestling. There's no, I don't think there can be a dispute. Have 4 decades at top at the wrestling helm. I don't think we are ever going to see something even remotely like this ever again. Like, you hear about TV shows going to Front Brothers, even some company going to like involve exchanges. Pretty much because, yeah, he took it from his father, which was like a territorial wrestling thing. But like this revenge, he took that company to a whole international big conglomerate that it is now. Like, he pretty much took it and made it what it is today. Again. And like, you can you can acknowledge his contributions. Like I said, you can acknowledge his big successes in the wrestling business. You can pretty much say anything about his legacy in WWE and stuff. But like, this will now be Paul's legacy, and like, you can acknowledge like all these contributions, all these allegations and sexual misconduct. Like, that's not acceptable for any CEO, any company, with something, the shit that he has done. That's like, that's unacceptable. Like, that is so even like unprofessional for a owner of a company to do something like this. And to woman nonetheless. Like, for what you saw on Vince in TV rumors and stuff, this only wasn't just TV. This was pretty much what he has been doing for the allegation has been called like for like 16, 17 years now. Like, he's been doing this stuff. Like, and for that he had to go away. And you can also notice the fact that his age was catching up to him, and as a result, he lost some of his inability to write compelling stuff for WWE as the products. He pretty much lost his race for the last 10, 15 years now. I mean, look at the product, like, over those last 10, 15 years. Like, there's been a noticeable and decline interest in the product. And that's pretty much because of his vision. Like, none of the title changes happen. Who gets pushed? Who gets, like, deep push? Who gets booked in matches? Even signs people in checks. Nothing happens without that guy and his approval on things. Like, like I said before, WWE is Vince McMahon. So like, and you really have to wonder for this, now that Vince is now gone, like, what he will do. That is a big question mark, I think, for a lot of people. Like, what's he gonna do for someone who is, I dare say, he's probably the most dedicated guy that I've ever seen in wrestling. for the things he's done in his company. You really wonder what he would do with himself. Well, he's gonna stuff like is he gonna stuff like golfing or like check out fish in the pool in the park, training at the gym at 4 p.m. Like, yeah, and that what made me point out that stuff. Who knows if he will stick out this for a very long time? But like, yeah, this is pretty earthshake. Pretty much a big, pretty much gonna be a big shift in that company, and there's a lot of excitement to be. You can make it here. Like, I think for like one hand, it's kind of surreal to see him go down like this, literally, because of what happened, and for all the time he has spent in this company and making it what it is. But at the same time, with this allegation and how piss poor the product can be, the TV product WWE can be now, it was pretty much the right thing for him to go now. And what I said, and now there's a whole new way that it can change now for that company. Like I said, for all of this company to really evolve and change, it has to go from the top. If it doesn't go from the top, nothing else changes. Now it's that time that it can actually happen. Now that Stephanie is running things and Nick Khan's gonna be running something, I think it will make more sense to like Steph for like to be more like on the wrestling side of things of running things, and Nick Khan to be on the running thing of the business aspects of things. It will make it more sense that way. And like, bro, like, what's this mean for creative? The creative thing WWE like for many years, for all the creative philosophy of that company, it has really run through one man. What do you hear about the writers all the time? For some, even former writers who don't even write for things on that company anymore. What do they say? They write for audience of one. What they own, the writers have only write stuff for Vince that Vince likes, that Vince enjoys. And with him being gone, like, I don't think they're ever going to be one thing of like one vision that pretty much de-rest the entire creative writing of this company. Like Bruce Prichard for now is like running things on the creative side, but like now he has to like answer to like Stephanie and all that stuff. Like I don't I don't think it will be under the direction of like one guy in terms of creating anymore. As that was pretty much a Vince thing, like, and I know Bruce Prichard is a Vince yes man. He's the right hand, somewhat a right hand man for Vince, pretty much. So he's running things for like now, but he has to. I think he has to be under the vision of Stephanie and like even Triple H to a certain extent, as I think more over time is going to be and so we have more of a power in the creative team. Which he said like he's fired up and ready to go to work. Like if anyone is more fired up about it than this, it's Triple H because for a long time he seemed to be the heir apparent to Vince for a very long time. He was pretty much Vince's successor in many ways. And then his heart attack happened, and then you see what they did to NXT and all that stuff while he was away. And like, yeah, this whole Stephanie Triple H and Vince stuff from this past year though is something that's going to be talked about, remember, for years to come. And how Triple H had that setback with the heart attack, he having his team and everything he had built for NXT being torn apart. From Stephanie took a leave of absence, really not that long ago, and now this allegations about Vince and him, Vince having to step away, and now it's all the hands of Stephanie and Triple H. Like it was meant to be, but almost seemed impossible to see. And I'm really will be looking. I'm really intrigued to see what they vision for the company will be. And as you heard news about TB14 coming back as soon as SummerSlam next week, it can get interesting for the first time. Like, I'm probably more interested than I have in years because of all of this now. So yeah, that and through all like Vince's legacy and Vince McMahon's legacy and stuff, he will go down as the greatest promoter of all time. His contribution and success at Vince will be unlike everything, like his time as what he was in his power and his stuff winning the company will be unlike anything you will ever see ever again. It will be talked about for years the man he has done. But you can't forget what he has done creatively, how he lost his step in ways and how bad he represented for many people and now these allegations. Like it will probably be even worse now. But like yeah, but I will say like thank Vince. I will thank Vince for what he has done for all his stuff. Like I will not forgive him for what he has done now and with these allegations towards him currently. I will never forgive him for that. Probably ever, but like I will never I won't acknowledge of how much he has done for the company, how dedicated he was for that company and all the things he has done. So yeah, this is going to be pretty much a turning point for that company of how well they do without Vince McMahon at the helm of the company. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say now. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think about all this, how much changes you will see. I don't think there will be a immediate change, but over time you will see a more gradual change in WWE. But yeah, how much you think it will change in the comment section below. And as always, I'm Jason Marinius, and I approve this message.